ABC. Today we're going to be covering my top 10 favorite Analogue Productions records. Now, for those of you who don't know, Analogue Productions is a record label based in Salina, Kansas, run by Chad Kassem. They've been around since the early 1990s. They do quite a bit of jazz releases, classical, some classic rock. They've just done really great work over the past few decades. And this is just to show my 10 favorite records from them in no particular order. This is based on sound quality, but also musical content and quality, because I don't buy records just because they're good sounding. I also buy stuff that I enjoy listening to and that I listen to frequently. So taking that into account, I'll introduce my top 10 Analogue Productions records. So here's a personal favorite of mine. In any genre of music ever, and that's Creedence Clearwater Revival's Willie and the Poor Boys. Now, this is back when Acoustic Sounds Analogue Productions did 200 gram vinyl records. This is on the Blue Fantasy Full Radial Stereo label. Now, this is really flat, super quiet, so dynamic and so sharp sounding, mastered by Steve Hoffman and Kevin Gray. Now, I don't have the entire set of these albums. I just bought a couple of them back when you could still get them from Acoustic Sounds. They're quite expensive now, so unless you really love Creedence, I don't recommend spending, no matter how good they're sounding, I don't recommend spending $200 plus on some of these. But this is my favorite CCR record. Of course, it has Down on the Corner, Came from the Sky, Cotton Fields, Effigy, Fortunate Son. Everyone knows Fortunate Son. Midnight Special. Just such good music. It's only maybe 40 minutes in total, the entire album, but it is killer. From track 1 to track 10. It is unbelievably good. Next up is the Doors self-titled. You can still get them individually. Don't sleep on them. I highly recommend getting them if you're a Doors fan, or if you're just a fan of late 60s, early 70s rock and roll. This just personifies that California sound. This is a gatefold. It's double 45. Nice glossy jacket with cool photos and lyrics inside. This is mastered from a safety master, because there is no original Doors self-titled master tape. There's some debate whether this is as good as the DCC copy, and people say original Electra stereo is good, but you have to fork out a large amount of cash for that, and you can get this for $60 new. So I highly recommend this pressing if you don't mind 45 RPM and you really want to hear the Doors sounding very good. Now, of course, it has Break On Through the Other Side, Soul Kitchen, Light My Fire, Backdoor Man, The End, and The End gets its own aside because it's almost a 12-minute song. And these were overseen by the original engineer Bruce Botnick and Chad Kassem of Acoustic Sounds, and it really pays off. Just the whole series is great. I could really pick anyone, whether it's Strange Days, Morrison Hotel, or LA Woman. They all sound frickin' fantastic, and the music to boot is just amazing. Next up is Buddy Holly self-titled. Now, I picked this over Analogue Productions version of the Chirpin' Crickets because I like the music better. Chirpin' Crickets is more of a rockabilly sound, more of that 50s early rock and roll, but this is on the Orange Coral label. Really such a good pressing on 33 RPM. I absolutely love it. Buddy's only solo record before his death, and it's amazing that over 60 years later we're still listening to this. His influence is still felt on music today. Cat Stevens' Tea for the Tillerman. Now, this is the 33 RPM version. It's on the Pink Island label. And this was the first Analogue Productions record done at quality record pressings when they opened in 2010. It comes with a sweet booklet. Well, I guess decent, not sweet, decent booklet showing the process, showing the master tapes, showing some upcoming titles. Here you can see they did plan more Cat Stevens titles, Catch a Bullet 4 and Teaser and the Firecat. Those never came out. I don't know if it was due to licensing issues that they didn't do them, but just a cool little tidbit they added. Comes with a nice gatefold there. This is how the original UK release was. A gatefold with Cat there. Has some amazing songs on it. Obviously, Where Do the Children Play, Hard-Headed Woman, Wild World, Miles from Nowhere, Father and Son, But I Might Die Tonight, Sad Lisa. Just some of his greatest songs. And such a great LP and a nice packaging. It's pretty expensive now, but this is better than my original pressing. I really, really love it. This kind of came flying out here. An old Acoustic Sounds email newsletter, chance to win a test pressing. So if you want to win a test pressing from Acoustic Sounds, you can join them on Facebook and fill that out. Next up is Elvis 24 Karat Hits. Now, this is a 3-disc, 45 RPM package. So if you're not into 45 RPM, don't sweat it. Probably look for the DCC. I believe that's on 33. This was mastered by George Marino from the original Analogue reels. Includes obviously some of Elvis's biggest hits. It's about as good as Elvis will ever sound on LP, in my opinion. Obviously, his early stuff doesn't really sound that great, like Heartbreak Hotel and Hound Dog. They still kind of sound very lo-fi. Obviously, all the Sun recording stuff isn't very high fidelity recorded, but when you get into his RCA catalog, it gets much, much better. It says everything: Suspicious Minds, In the Ghetto, Jailhouse Rock, just classic Elvis tunes. That disc 1, I believe, is mostly mono, and then it shifts over to stereo for the later stuff. But such an excellent package. The jacket's really flimsy and cheap on this, because back when this was released, Analogue Productions didn't do very good jackets, so you can see I got it from Amazon. The spine is pretty much destroyed. It kind of sucks, but still worth getting. Jacket notwithstanding. Excellent, excellent music. They also do a 45 RPM of Elvis's Back, which is equally as good, but it's a little on the short side for double 45, in my opinion. It's like 30 minutes of music, so... But it's still audiophile quality, great male vocals, great Elvis Presley. If you're a casual Elvis fan or a big Elvis fan, worth picking up. Nat King Cole, Love Is a Thing. I just picked this one because it has a couple of my favorite Nat songs on it. Obviously Stardust, When I Fall in Love. When you hear When I Fall in Love on this LP, when that kicks in and you hear Nat's voice when I fall in love. It's absolutely like, it is a system. It is something you use to show off your system. It is that good of a recording. The lengths Steve Hoffman and Kevin Gray went to remaster these is nothing short of incredible. Whether you get Love Is a Thing, The Very Thought of You, Round About Midnight, St. Louis Blues. They're just all incredible. They all belong in your collection. I just absolutely love Nat King Cole, one of the greatest male vocalists of all time. Next up, a no-brainer, the UHQR of Kind of Blue on Clarity vinyl. It's on that sort of milky white 6-eye Columbia. This is unbelievable sounding. I love it so much more than any other version I have, and I've heard a lot of Kind of Blues from the original tape copy, the reel-to-reel to original stereo, which is really good, but this is like so clean, so quiet. It is my favorite way to listen to Kind of Blue. The 45 RPM is supposedly coming out soon. Beautiful. One of the best jackets I've ever seen for a record. Really, really happy with the sound quality on this. They're still not, they're out of print, but they're not that expensive really right now. I mean, I think they retail for $125. I think you can get it for around $150 on Discogs. I highly recommend picking this up if you like Kind of Blue. It is my favorite jazz album of all time, and it's a must-own in any record collection. Brubeck Timeout. This was my gateway drug to jazz. This uses the classic record stamper, same as Kind of Blue. So if you have the classic records version, this is, for all intents and purposes, the same, unless your copy is really noisy or scratched or anything. There's also a 45 RPM on this. This is a nice gatefold sleeve, very matte finish, super quiet. This is just a quintessential West Coast jazz. I'm sure everyone's heard the track Time Out. My favorite song on here is Strange Meadowlark. I just love the piano intro on it and sort of the swing it goes into. Great music on here. Next up, Pet Sounds, and I know this is controversial or blasphemous, whatever, but this is the stereo. I prefer it so much more to the mono. The music just has so much more depth. The soundstage is so much more three-dimensional and just full. The instruments are instrumentation by the Wrecking Crew, and the vocals from the group is just incredible. Unbelievable songs on here. Wouldn't It Be Nice? Do You Still Believe in Me? Sloop John B. Caroline, No. I Wasn't Made for These Times. There's a reason why it's probably the greatest album ever made. It's 33 RPM pressing. There is a 45, which sounds even better. But if you're like me and you tend to prefer 33 RPM pressings, then this is the one for you. It's a little expensive. It's around $70 on the Acoustic Sounds website, but I think it's worth every penny. I got it when it used to be $35, but it's an unbelievable record that needs to be in your collection. I could really pick the whole Beach Boys reissue catalog they did. I have all of them. They all sound phenomenal. Dusty in Memphis by Dusty Springfield. Just phenomenal songs on here. Probably her most well-known song, Son of a Preacher Man. Same with the Elvis. This is in like a flimsy single pocket sleeve, a double 45. It is just so good. It came out in 2010 or 11. It's still in, well, not in print, but still available. Absolutely great stuff. Such a great female vocalist record on that orange and green Atlantic label. Really good record. I love it. And the music's great too. Pronounced Leonard Skinner, another double 45. You could go with this, Second Helping, or Nuttin' Fancy. This obviously has Freebird and some of their other classic songs. Tuesday's Gone, Mississippi Kid, Poison Whiskey. I Ain't the One. Just such great songs on here. Second Helping is also really good. It's on 45 and 33. I have the 33 of that one. Really awesome reproduction of the jacket on the Rainbow MCA label. Again, with all these QRP pressings I have, just dead silent records. Quiet backgrounds. Full stereo sound. They're unbelievable. It tends to rotate in and out of print. They just did a repress of it not too long ago. Secondary market prices are kind of crazy for it, so if you don't have it, just wait for it to come back in stock. It probably will. And really awesome. Yeah, Tuesday's Gone, Give Me 3 Steps. Great songs on here. Love the music, love the band, love the record. This one's unavailable out of print, but one of my favorite records that I own in my collection. Tony Bennett live at Carnegie Hall. Excellent live record. I love live performances, and this is just a stellar standout. You practically are in Carnegie Hall when you put this on. This is the debut of I Left My Heart in San Francisco. The single might have just came out around this time, but he plays it live. Oh, unbelievable record. This is a double 33, because the original is 2 discs. Nice gatefold with session and concert photos. I highly recommend it. It's on that Columbia 2i label. Just great stuff. I can't recommend this record enough. If you get a copy for a good price or it comes back in print, you need to own it. John Coltrane, Soul Train. Now, I really could put the entire Prestige series on here from Analogue Productions, but this is just one of my favorites. In my top 5 for Coltrane records is Soul Train. It's on that Prestige Fireworks label. Deep Groove Mono. It's so good. Coltrane is just in the room with you when you listen to this. A nice glossy tip-on jacket. I mean, you can get all 50 of these Prestige titles. It's quite costly, but I do recommend most, if not all of them. But they did go up in price from $35 to $40, so it'll cost you a bit more, like $200 more to get all of them. But they're still amazing sounding. If you want to just pick and choose which ones to get, I don't know how much longer they'll be in print, because this is probably the last run they're going to do a lot of these, but they don't get much better for jazz than this. James Gang, Best of the James Gang. This is another compilation. It's just a single 33. This might be on 45 as well. I'm not sure. It's been out for quite a while. It's obviously been repressed a number of times. But Funk 49, Walk Away, Midnight Man. This is pre-Eagles Joe Walsh. Just killer guitar, killer music on here. I highly recommend it. Nice gatefold jacket. Just a great rock record. It is Best of the James Gang. Counting Crows, August and Everything After. Obviously, Mr. Jones, the big track off of here. Done from. Now, number 10, this might be number 11, is Sam Cooke Nightbeat. This is, I wouldn't say his lesser known stuff, but certainly not his hits. But obviously, No One Knows the Trouble I've Seen, Mean Old World. Some really good songs on here. Little Red Rooster. Sam is great on this. This is another double 45. Mastered by George Marino from the Analogue tapes. You can also get the Best of Sam Cooke. That is a DSD transfer, but it's more of his well-known material. Very good comp, but I love this album from Sam Cooke. I love Sam Cooke. Really good record from Analogue Productions. Stereo on the RCA Shaded Dog label. Great stuff. Thanks again for checking out this video. Those are just some of my favorite Analogue Productions records. Next time we're going to, visit some Analogue records that you can get for really good prices, and then we're going to debate the whole analog versus digital in another video. But thanks for tuning in, and please like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time, BC.